The Titanic. James Cameron, Hollywood's go-to guy for epics that stretch on for hours. With Titanic, he went all in, combining a love story with one of history's greatest maritime disasters of all time. And while it might have broken box office records, it didn't escape without some serious cinematic flaws. Let's rewind to 1997 and dive into the Titanic and see where it sank. Or at least, where it missed the mark. Or, so'd we say, iceberg. Sorry to interrupt, but we're the only iceberg you want to hit. So crash into that subscribe like it's 1912. Thanks. The never-ending Celine Dion song. We start with the title song, that dreadful, ear-bleeding, stomach-sickening tune called My Heart Will Go On was everywhere in 1997. You just couldn't escape listening to it. You would hear it play on repeat in every store, funeral, or public restroom, like some kind of emotional torture device. Even Celine Dion herself didn't want to sing the song at first, which speaks volumes. At this point, hearing that iconic flute intro sends shivers down your spine and blood pouring out of your ears. I'll never let go, except she totally did. One of the most iconic scenes in Titanic is where Rose clings to a floating door, telling Jack she would never let go. But then she does let go, dropping him into the icy Atlantic like she's tossing a used tissue. And here's the kicker. Mythbusters confirmed that Jack could have totally fit on that door. Rose wasn't just being melodramatic, she was gatekeeping a life-saving piece of driftwood. For a scene that's supposed to tug at our heartstrings, all it does now is make us scream. Move over, Rose! The king of the world moment. I'm the king of the world might have seemed bold and adventurous back in 1997, but looking at it now, it's just cringy. Jack, you're standing on the bow of a ship that's about to hit an iceberg. Maybe dial down the overconfidence just a tad. The line has been parodied to death, and for good reason. It's one of those moments where the cheese factor is off the charts. It's like Cameron wanted to give us an unforgettable line, but all we got was a meme waiting to happen. That awkward steamy car scene. Let's not forget the infamous steamy car scene, where Jack and Rose manage to squeeze in a romantic moment while the ship is literally sinking. The handprint sliding down the foggy window has become a cinematic meme, and for good reason. It's completely over the top. Who has time for romance when their lives are in danger? Apparently, Jack and Rose. It's a moment that's been parodied to death, but that doesn't make it any less ridiculous. Jack's death. It's always brought up. Years later, and people are still debating whether Jack really had to die. The door was big enough for both of them, but Rose hogged it like it was Black Friday at Macy's. Even James Cameron has been asked about it repeatedly. Jack's death is the controversy that refuses to die, just like Rose should have refused to let him freeze. Fans still argue over it, and let's be honest, they probably always will. Why so much focus on a fake necklace? Let's talk about the heart of the ocean, the massive blue diamond that drives the entire plot. It's completely fictional, but the movie treats it like it's the crown jewels. We spend 3 hours caring about this necklace, only for old Rose to toss it into the ocean like she's discarding a candy wrapper. And poor Bill Paxton's character spent the whole movie looking for it. It's a classic case of, thanks for nothing, Rose. And it leaves you wondering why we cared so much in the first place. Everyone has time for romance on a sinking ship. The ship is sinking, people are dying, and chaos is everywhere. And yet, Jack and Rose still find time for meaningful glances, heartfelt speeches, and of course, a romantic rendezvous in a steamy car. Because obviously that's the first thing you do when your life is in danger. Find the nearest car for a passionate makeout session. The ship is literally sinking, but hey, there's always time for love, right? It's moments like this that make you question the character's priorities. Rose's fiancé is basically a cartoon villain. Cal Hockley, Rose's fiancé, is basically the living embodiment of rich guy bad. He's snobby, controlling, and at one point he even chases Rose around with a gun, on a sinking ship no less. His character is so one-dimensional that you half expect him to twirl a mustache and tie Rose to some train tracks. We get it, Cameron. Rich people are evil, but could you have given Cal at least a little bit more complexity? Instead, he's the human version of a villainous caricature. The movie is 3 hours long, and it feels like it. James Cameron really gave us a 3-hour Titanic movie. 3 hours, the first half is a slow burn romance, while the second half is an all-out disaster flick. It's like 2 different movies awkwardly spliced together. By the time the iceberg finally shows up, you're probably checking your watch, wondering when the actual sinking starts. And when it does, you're stuck for another hour thinking, okay, we get it, the ship's going down. Cameron could have trimmed some of that romantic fluff and saved us all some time. Speaking of icebergs, why didn't they see it sooner? How does the crew of the Titanic not see a massive iceberg until it's right in front of them? There are warnings, binoculars, and an entire crew meant to avoid such disasters. Yet the iceberg sneaks up on them like a surprise party they didn't plan for. It's as if they were too busy admiring the ship's luxury to notice the giant block of ice heading their way. Maybe instead of schmoozing with the first-class passengers, they should have been paying attention to, the ocean. Why was Rose's art collection so important? Rose casually name-drops Pablo Picasso like she's got an MFA in modern art, which is hilarious considering Picasso wasn't even famous in 1912. It's as if Cameron wanted to make Rose seem cultured and forward-thinking, but all it does is make her sound like a time traveler. Rose, your high society friends probably didn't know who Picasso was, let alone care about his work. This is one of those, hey, look how smart and edgy she is, moments that just doesn't land. Jack's realistic sketch skills. That iconic scene where Jack sketches Rose like one of his French girls? Yeah, it's not actually Leo DiCaprio doing the sketching. That's James Cameron's hand, you see, because apparently even Leonardo DiCaprio had limits to his artistic abilities. So much for Jack being a multi-talented artist. The whole scene is built up as this romantic, intimate moment. But once you realize it's Cameron's hand, the magic kind of fades. Jack might be good with a pencil, but let's not pretend he's a master artist. The unnecessary Billy Zane wig? Poor Billy Zane. Not only does he have to play the one-dimensional villain Cal, but he also has to do it while wearing a painfully obvious wig. Once you notice the wig, you can't unsee it. It's like someone glued a helmet of hair onto his head and called it a day. For a movie that cost many millions to make, you'd think they could have invested in better wig technology. Instead, Zane's hair becomes one of the movie's many distractions, pulling you out of the story every time it's on screen. Historical inaccuracy. Molly Brown was way cooler. Kathy Bates nails it as Molly Brown, but the real Molly Brown was way more badass. She famously helped row a lifeboat and demanded they return to save more people. But in Titanic, she's mostly comic relief with a heart of gold. It's a missed opportunity to show one of history's real heroes in action. Instead, we get a watered-down version of the woman who should have been celebrated for her bravery. Molly Brown deserved more than just a few quips in a lifeboat scene. The CGI of 1997 doesn't quite hold up. Back in 1997, the special effects in Titanic were groundbreaking. But watching it now, well, some of the CGI looks like it came from a mid-2000s video game. The ship breaking apart, the water flooding the decks, it's all a bit pixelated by today's standards. For a movie with such a massive budget, it's kinda disappointing that some scenes don't hold up as well. Cameron might have been ahead of his time back then, but time hasn't been kind to some of these effects. The band played on, but why? One of the most emotional moments in Titanic is when the ship's band plays "Nearer My God to Thee" as the Titanic sinks. It's haunting, sure, but also completely illogical. These guys are playing while the ship is breaking apart beneath them. Heroic or insane? You decide. At some point, you'd think survival instincts would kick in, but no. Apparently the show must go on, even when the stage is literally sinking into the ocean. It's a beautiful moment, but also one that leaves you scratching your head. No one ever talks about the captain's blatant negligence. Captain Edward Smith is supposed to be this seasoned sea captain, but he's steering the Titanic into an iceberg field at full speed. Even after receiving iceberg warnings, he's like, Nah, we're good. Instead of slowing down, he decides to plow full steam ahead into disaster. Maybe instead of mingling with the passengers, the captain should have been, I don't know, doing his job. The movie portrays him as a noble figure, but let's be real, he totally dropped the ball. Over-the-top first-class snobbery. The rich passengers in Titanic are portrayed as caricatures of the worst kind of snobs. They sneer at Jack, look down on Rose for fraternizing with the lower class, and act like they're immune to disaster. It's so over the top that it becomes laughable. Sure, there were class divisions on the Titanic, but Cameron takes it to an extreme that makes the first-class passengers look like they walked straight out of a Charles Dickens novel. Subtlety. Not in this film. Leonardo DiCaprio looks too pretty for a street rat. Jack is supposed to be a poor artist who hustles for food and sleeps under bridges. But Leonardo DiCaprio looks way too well groomed for that backstory. His hair is perfectly styled, his face is always glowing, and he never looks like he's seen a hard day's work. It's as if poverty in 1912 was a lot more glamorous than we thought. Jack might be poor in spirit, but his Hollywood glow says otherwise. Do you think Leonardo DiCaprio is a pretty boy? Let me know in the comments. The poor third-class passengers. The third-class passengers in Titanic are portrayed as fun-loving, beer-drinking, dancing angels who couldn't hurt a fly. Meanwhile, the first-class passengers are all snooty villains who probably laugh at the idea of charity. It's such a heavy-handed portrayal of class differences that it feels more like a social commentary than a historical drama. Cameron, we get it. The rich are bad, the poor are good. But maybe tone down the cliches next time. Iceberg? What iceberg? With all the focus on Jack and Rose's love story, you almost forget that the movie is about the Titanic disaster. By the time the iceberg finally shows up, you're like, oh yeah, right, the ship's supposed to sink. Half the movie is spent on romance, and when the iceberg finally makes its debut, it feels more like an afterthought than the central plot point. It's a weird pacing choice for a movie based on a real-life disaster. Did the old lady really have to throw the necklace in the ocean? Rose, what are you doing? After building up the entire movie around the heart of the ocean necklace, you just throw it away? Bill Paxton's character spends the whole movie searching for this thing, and you toss it into the ocean like it's a used tissue. After 3 hours of emotional investment, that's the payoff? It's like Cameron wanted to throw in a twist, but instead, it just leaves the audience rolling their eyes. Jack's Irish dance-off moment. Who is this guy? At one point, Jack is not just a starving artist. He's also apparently a professional Irish dancer. In the middle of a third-class party, he starts spinning around like he's auditioning for Riverdance. It's charming, sure, but also completely out of place. The man is supposed to be a penniless artist, but suddenly he's a multi-talented dancer? Pick a lane, Jack. There's being talented, and then there's being too talented for your own good. Titanic's lifeboat drama. The lifeboats. Titanic was famously short on them, and yet the movie barely touches on the absurdity of this situation. Think about it. A ship designed to carry over 2,000 people had enough lifeboats for only about half. It's like building a skyscraper and deciding, we don't need that many elevators. Just let people jump down if there's a fire. And how about the way they used the lifeboats? People who paid thousands of dollars for first-class tickets were gently ushered onto the boats with ample room to spare, while third-class passengers were left to fend for themselves below deck. The movie gives us a few shots of the chaos, but imagine the lifeboat drama. Rich folks lounging in half-empty boats, floating leisurely away while the rest of the passengers scramble to find anything that floated. And can we talk about that one lifeboat that came back after the ship went down? One heroic boat rowed back through the icy water to look for survivors, after the freezing ocean had already taken most of them. It's like showing up late to a party after everyone's left and pretending you're the hero. The Titanic Memorial Museum effect. Thanks to Titanic, a whole generation thinks they know the true story of the disaster. But the movie takes plenty of creative liberties, leaving historians rolling their eyes. From Jack and Rose's romance to the dramatic sinking, much of the film is more Hollywood than history. The movie might have immortalized the shipwreck, but it's not exactly a history lesson. So before you spout off Titanic trivia, maybe double-check with an actual historian. The literal sinking feeling. The Titanic's final moments as it breaks in half and sinks into the abyss are some of the most intense scenes in the movie. But even here, Hollywood took some liberties. The real Titanic didn't snap in such a clean, dramatic way. It was messier, more chaotic, and not quite as visually perfect as Cameron made it look. It's one of those moments where the cinematic drama overshadows historical accuracy. But hey, it sure looked cool, right? And there you have it. Have you seen the Titanic movie and what do you think of it? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.